All right, first day out there on skates together. I mean, just how was it out there today?
Good skate. Kind of checked a lot of boxes today, just with some teaching stuff, new defensive zone stuff. Got our work in with up and down the ice, some skating, and just some compete as well. So checked a lot of good boxes today.
How was it working with the new staff today?
It was good, yeah. Some familiar faces, some new faces. I actually had Dino at Worlds this past year, so I had some familiarity with him. But the new staff's been great. Everyone's kind of clicking together right now, and we're all trying to come together as a group. So, it was good. Good first skate. Good day one.
Was it just nice to everybody be together again, considering everything that's been happening recently?
Yeah, a lot of us have been together here for the last few weeks, which is nice, kind of skating together and just kind of getting out there for that first skate. And day one officially, I guess, was yesterday with our physicals and whatnot, but day two today and day one on the ice was good, and kind of gets a little bit of a weight lifted off, and there's a lot going on obviously still, and it's not going to go away, but the show goes on and we have to do our jobs.
Hockey's what's familiar.
Hockey's what's familiar, and no matter what, we're always going to be thinking about the other stuff that's been going on, and that'll never leave us, and we'll stick that with us. But we're gonna do our jobs to the best of our ability, no matter what, because we know that the people are going to be expecting that of us.
How have you processed the last 3 weeks or so for yourself personally?
It was really tough to process originally. Still, even the days go by where you're just kind of confused that it'll never make sense to me. I don't think that'll be one thing that will never leave me, no matter how much time goes on. Is that something like that happens? It just never makes sense. And I know they went through a similar thing with Kivlenik. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but Kivlenix, I think it was, a few years back. And now being a part of this, I mean, only playing with them for a year, but. It's tough to process. Some days are better than others, but there's just so many layers to it. I could go on and on. I don't want to get started because one layer leads to another, and it's just crazy. It's not just one little thing. It's a ton of layers for me personally, and then just for the team, just trying to be here for one another. So, my wife and I we're getting to be pretty close with the Gaudreaus, and amazing people, and we'll be there still for them no matter what. But It's some days are better than others, but we look forward to hopefully just supporting each other as a team and getting through it together.
Ordinarily, if it was the same coaching staff coming back, and you're being a defenseman, be your second year here, we'd be talking about like how much more comfortable do you feel here, that kind of thing, in the same system and whatnot. Mm-hmm. How much of a challenge is it going to be because you have a new coaching staff, things like that? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some changes, but this is again your second year here, so you probably feel a little more.
Yeah, the comfortability is definitely there, more just off the ice and in the room, and kind of with people that I'm more familiar with for the majority of staff. As for the D-zone stuff, we're playing, a system that there's not really a ton of systems out there, so it's just an adjustment, and it's one that I've played before, fortunately. So it's just going to be more of little adjustments along the way and on the fly, where little reads more than anything. And the biggest thing is they want us to be aggressive, and they want us to use our feet to stop plays in the D zone, and we don't want to play on the offensive side of the puck, and then we don't have to play in the D zone. So more fun for everybody, but it's a little bit of an adjustment, but at the same time, it's hockey at the end of the day, and we're all accustomed to what we have to do.
You've had a full off season to kind of, if you wanted to, look back and digest what your first season here was like. What was your, like, when you think about it, what was your assessment of your season, and then building off that, like, what do you want to accomplish this year?
Personally, for me, it was a very slow start, good finish. That would be the best way to describe it in a quick sentence. It was an easy adjustment off the ice. I've said that multiple times. Just the people in Columbus have been great. Everything about the organization has been awesome. But yeah, on the ice was a bit of a slow start personally, and so that's one thing that I want to key in on this year, is to get off to a real good start, have some familiarity with some of the guys, and use that to the advantage of getting off to that good start. And that's not only personally, that's as a team as well. So just kind of continue how I finished last season, just kind of getting into a bit of a groove earlier and kind of stick with that and be consistent with that.
You mentioned earlier that you got an experience with Dean a little bit at Worlds. Are you glad when you look back on it that you went to Worlds and got that experience, not just with him, but just to kind of go and play a little extra?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You don't want your season to finish early no matter what. So unfortunately for me, I haven't had a lot of playoff runs. We had one my last year with the Devils, a couple rounds deep, and then obviously he was traded here. So playoffs is the best. That's the ultimate goal. Worlds was just an option that presented itself, and Nasher was part of the management group over there, and he asked me to go, and I was more than happy to go over there, and that was my third one. I had 2 silver medals, and unfortunately we came home empty-handed, lost the bronze medal game this year, but the elusive gold medal is what I'm still chasing. I hope to not have to ever go back to Worlds again because we're in the playoffs here, but the opportunity would present itself last year, and it definitely was a great time to get a chance to work with some great people as they always do, and Dino was one of them, so I had some familiarity there.
The NHL announced ticket information for the Stadium Series. Just kind of curious how much you're looking forward to that day.
I would say I'm probably one of the top few guys on the team that's, I haven't talked to everybody about it yet, but I'm looking forward to it immensely. I grew up in Saskatchewan. Outdoor rink was, a couple blocks away from me. I grew up on a buddy's outdoor rink, and basically every night, this was back before cell phones really, and we were one of the last families to get the cell phones, so the house phone would ring and, hi, is Damon there? Does he want to come play on the outdoor rink? And so I love outdoor hockey. I try to watch every game that they play every year, whether it's a Stadium Series or any other game that's we're able to watch. So I just think it's amazing being hockey. Just kind of being from Canada and playing outside and growing up on the ponds and the outdoor rinks is great. So, and then the iconic stadium with the Buckeyes playing here in Ohio State, it's going to be pretty cool in there, and it's going to be pretty packed. So a lot of people have already reached out to me and want to come in for that one. So I'm looking forward to that one a lot.
What town in Saskatchewan?
Melville is the town I grew up in. Yeah, small town. Yeah, Melville. Yeah.
Have you been to Ohio State football game?
Yeah, I've been to a few. I've been to one this year. It was a bit of a blowout, 56-0, the Western Michigan one. So I got a great crew of neighbors on my street that I live in here, and they're season ticket holders, and they just had some last-minute tickets. So I didn't know it was going to be that bad of a blowout, but it's just fun to go and check out the atmosphere.
So when you're sitting there and you're looking at the stands, I mean, there's no outdoor rink in Saskatchewan that has 100,000 people, right? Did you envision it? Were you looking around, imagining what that day is going to be like?
Actually, I was. Yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty cool. So we set up pretty high in there. They have a suite, and so we were up pretty high, and just looking out and just kind of seeing how high, and be like, oh, I'm going to be on that field, which will be ice, and we're going to be the ones entertaining that night. So it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
You never played in an NHL.
I missed them both in New Jersey. The year I think after I was drafted, they had the one at MetLife against the Rangers, and then this past year when I was here, they had another one. So I missed them both, unfortunately, but now I'm getting my chance this year, so hopefully it goes well.
What's it feel like to finally be a real member of the Blue Jackets?
Yeah, it's exciting. We've been skating for a couple of weeks here, but just to have everyone out there and the coaches out there and just get a feel of everything. It was great. It was a great day, very productive, and just happy to get the season going underway. The Offseason is good, but it is a little too long this year. So excited to be back.
What's been the hardest part of the transition down here? Just the move itself? Or?
I mean, honestly, just getting furniture. That's the hardest thing. Everyone's been so helpful with stuff, and everyone's been great. Like all the guys, the coaches. Meeting you guys, they've made the transition really easy, and that's meant a lot to me. And just to get to see the air and everything, it's a lot of excitement for sure.
Do you have furniture now?
We're getting there. Yeah, we're making our way.
What
Yeah.
happened to the table you bought on the day of the trade?
Where is it? I think we have it, and I think it was a little too big for the space. We got a place in Massachusetts, so we have it, but we don't use it. Yeah. So we tried to sell on Facebook Marketplace, but it didn't work.
In what ways did the team welcome you, and then just the whole togetherness factor just seemed like that's a big thing, especially what's been going on around here as of late?
For sure. Obviously with Johnny and Matthew passing, it's been, definitely a different environment to step into, and I think everyone around me was really heartbroken, and coming in, I think I just wanted to be there for what the guys were going through, but at the same time, they've been so welcoming to me. It's definitely a collective group, and you can see everyone, getting through the process at their different paces, but if anything, it's brought everyone closer, quicker. And there's kind of a different feeling of togetherness because of, everything that's happened, and everyone's just been, fantastic.
How much can that kind of thing, that closeness, how much can that help a team, on the ice?
It's huge. It's everything. You've seen so many cases, teams surpass maybe their expectations because of how well they gel together, and you just get the right group of guys, the right coaching staff, and sometimes everything just falls into place. So you see it every single year, right? Teams come together that people aren't really expecting out of the gate and do really well. So just based off the feeling in the locker room, and the tightness of everyone and the character of everyone, it's definitely different and really special here.
You certainly have an opportunity at this camp. What do you feel like you have to do to make the NHL roster right off the bat?
Just be myself, honestly, and show what I can do. I take a lot of pride in the work I put in the summer and preparing. So just trusting in my preparation, just being myself.
What did you prioritize this offseason?
A little bit of everything. I think, getting back some of my skating details. You play so many games and your body gets, beat down a little bit. So just getting back at the beginning of summer some of your skating details and some of your skill work, and then just focus on little things like, making sure you know where you want to do with the puck before you get it, scanning the ice a little bit better, practicing both sides, when I'm scrimmaging and everything. So all that little stuff.
How do you like all the facilities they have here?
It's gorgeous. It really is. Like the gym here and everything's beautiful. And that's the first thing I said when I walked in. I was like, wow. And it kind of speaks for itself. Even having like the practice rink in the building, it's super convenient and easy, and we live probably 6 minutes away right now. So it's really, really nice.
Do you have a favorite feature yet? Like, I know there's a lot of different toys back there.
That's a good question. I mean, when you walk in the locker room, like the Jumbotron in the middle is crazy, but in a good way. And the gym's really cool. I like how it's 2 levels too, just so you can organize it a little bit easier. But everything, you can tell they put a lot of time into planning it for sure.
Chance to explore the city yet, or anything stick out to you if you have?
A little bit, yeah. Just, how nice it is. I think, I've been here for a game before and played here, but just seeing the suburbs and everything. Like we went out to Easton Market, we played a little golf, just driving around. And, we're living in the Italian village, so just walking around, and seeing all the restaurants and everything, it's just super accessible. And there's no traffic in the morning, really, which is huge, too. That's really nice. So it's been good.
It's day one, but just first impressions of working with the coaching staff and Dean Evason.
Yeah, I thought he was great out there. They were all great out there, a lot of energy. But I also think, especially with Dean, he knows how to enjoy what he's doing as well as getting into really good work. Like you see him out there cracking jokes and like ribbing guys a little bit, and that's great because it's such a long year, right? But you can tell he really loves what he's doing, and everyone feeds off that energy. Yeah.
It's just nice to be able to get on the ice with not only him but the whole coaching staff, and good camp underway. First day is always a lot of energy and excitement. It was high pace out there. I thought it was a good mix of learning and battling and pace. So yeah, it was overall I think a pretty successful day.
I know you guys, some of you have been skating before this anyway, but when you guys go away, you spend the whole summer basically trying to add things to your game and stuff. Is the first day where everyone's together, is it a day where you can kind of like be like, oh yeah, I can see where I've maybe improved here, or I feel better here, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's like you said. Hockey nowadays is you don't use camp to get in shape. You come in adding tools to your toolbox and trying to become the best player you can over the summer. And so it's a long camp. I don't think coming in and trying to win the first day is it's not really what you do, but it's a process. Just I think for me personally, over my 4th year now, it's just trusting your abilities and you just kind of do what you believe in and be coachable and just take everything all in and enjoy it, and don't stress yourself out about it too much.
So you're one of the young guys on this team for whom so much is expected. How exciting is it? How important is it for you and that other group to? You started to do this last year for sure, but that young swell of talent to really start to push forward and make an impact.
I think for our obviously our group here, we want to take the next step, and to do that, us young guys, we all have to take more responsibility and the next step in our game to get there, as well as continuing to lead on our veterans and our leaders. But our ultimate goal is to push and be playing hockey after the last game of the season and going into the playoffs. And like I said, to do that, we're going to need to take the next step and hold each other accountable a little bit more and take a little bit more weight in our direction as well. So that's something we know, it's something we talked about, and that's the expectation of us.
You've already got 3 of these seasons under your belt. How does this training camp, does it feel any different than maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
In ways, the excitement, the energy, and just the passion of day one of training camp. I don't think it ever changes. I think you can ask guys like JVR, right, who've been here or been around for a long time, and he's still excited, smiling, everything like that. So, but yeah, you just feel just like maybe I feel a little more poised, more confident, and that comes from preparation and just believing in myself a little bit more. So I think those would be some of the differences.
In the first group, we were talking to some of the guys, and it was already mentioned that it kind of feels like you guys are really tightly knit. I mean, obviously we know what happened as well. That probably contributes. How far, like you've been on teams, I'm sure, that have been tight. I mean, can that carry a team farther than maybe they're expected to go? If just kind of playing for each other is the cliche we always hear.
Yeah, I think being I guess a so-called underdog, or maybe a team that doesn't have many expectations going into the year, is always a team that is surprising, is scary in my opinion to play, especially when we play to the identity and to the level that we're capable of. Obviously what happened can never be replaced, and it's never going to be replaced, but it's a good challenge for a group, like you said, to lean on each other more and to just play for each other more and to realize what's important.
Great, felt like home. Yeah, felt really good. Obviously, you don't really notice it, but I don't know, felt good.
Take us through that. What was the impetus for the change there on the number?
I've worn 19 for a very long time, and wore 11 for a year. I wasn't able to wear it my first year because of Foodie was here, and then he left, and I was able to switch, and I asked the trainers if I could. They said yeah. I obviously feel bad for a lot of people that bought jerseys. I came back to Columbus and tried to see all the fans as much as I could afterwards. I did feel bad, but it's what I wanted to do. I know I only had one shot. I couldn't do it after 2 years, so I'm glad I did it.
You made it a collector's item now, though.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody sees it that way.
What's the roots of 19? Is it Yzerman? Is it certain?
Actually, I wore 91 for a long time when I was younger, and I'm from Mark Savard. And when I got to juniors, we couldn't go above 30, so I switched to 19 and played 2 years in Chicago with 19 and World Juniors with 19 and at Michigan with 19, so just felt like I should be 19.
Did you make Foodie an offer last year?
No, I did not. I wasn't opening my mouth on that one. I was just going to keep it shut and change my number, yeah.
What was your summer like, and how much were you able to do as you normally would with the injury you were overcoming? Did that limit you in your off-season workouts at all?
Obviously it changed a few things that I did, but I was able to get healthy for World Championships. I went over there and played that exhibition game, and playing that exhibition game made me feel healthy and made me feel confident in what I had in my calf there. Obviously I still couldn't run and sprint and jump the same way while I was on the ice. It's a completely different movement. Halfway through the summer that all came back, and I was able to train full go for the last 7-8 weeks of the offseason.
And can you say just how tough and how patient you had to be with that recovery?
Yeah, definitely a lot of patience involved. I got to thank everybody that helped me. I mean, a lot of people were dealing with me being maybe a little bit irritable, missing being on the ice, missing being around the guys. So I want to say thank you to all of them, and I'm sorry to all of them for what they had to deal with. But I definitely wanted to pull my hair out. It's not an injury I don't want anybody to go through. It's tough. Even with the protective gear, sometimes it's scary. But just try and cover up as best you can.
What are your expectations of you in year two? You got a taste of the NHL for sure. In year one, looked really, really good at times. What are your expectations of yourself in year 2?
I just want to keep growing. I just want to keep growing and get better every single year. Obviously, like I've said before, it's still the National Hockey League. It doesn't get easier just because I'm in my second year. It's still going to be just as hard, if not harder. Obviously, we've lost some pieces, and we got some younger guys that got to step up. I want to be able to help out as much as possible and play my game. So that's kind of the whole plan. Is just keep my head down and grind.
How do you feel different than this time last year? Do you at all?
100%. Yeah, there's a lot more familiarity with all the guys. Obviously, it's new staff, new management, and everything we've had up until this point has been great. I'm excited. But just being around the guys and having that familiarity with even some of the prospects that I was at Traverse City with last year and in the hotel with, so just kind of knowing everybody helps.
Is there any built-in motivation from what happened last year as far as you got a little more than a half a season in, and so you got that really taste of NHL, and then it kind of just went away as far as playing goes? I mean, is there built-in motivation just to be like, hey, you can't control injuries, but come back and be even stronger?
Yeah, like I said, I just want to keep building on what I left off on. I thought in January and February there, or December and January, I was able to find my stride there and start to build on what I want to be as a player for this team. And it obviously got taken away, and I wasn't able to keep going with that in my rookie season. I want to continue that this year, and like I said, just keep my head down and keep getting better every single day.
The big thing about this offseason has been the togetherness aspect of it. What have you noticed in light of everything that's happened about the team coming together over everything that's happened?
Yeah. Listen, it's tough. I mean, elephant in the room, Johnny's not here anymore, and it's tough. And like we've said, we're going to have his jersey in the locker, and it's going to travel with us on the road as well. And yeah, I think having that type of loss in the locker room definitely changes some perspective for everybody, and makes you appreciate the small things a lot more, because life is very fragile, as we've found out, and we're some of the lucky guys that get to call this sport our job. So just coming to the rink every day and appreciating that is kind of what I've noticed.
Kind of a whirlwind, right, to turn around. How happy are you to be here as far as just starting another hockey season?
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, it's a privilege and a blessing to play in this league, and I definitely don't take any day of that for granted. So starting out of my 16th year, it definitely flies by, but just as excited now as I was for year one. So it's fun to get started, fun to get to meet some of the guys, meet some of the people within the organization, things like that. So obviously, like I said, a little bit of a whirlwind coming together, finalizing things over the last few days, but couldn't be more excited to be here.
So how did this kind of come together from your perspective?
Yeah, so there was talks throughout most of the summer, and then obviously as things started to get closer to camp, it puts a different sense of, I guess, urgency on, I guess, both sides, whether it's teams or players, to want to get things sort of figured out. So, yeah, over the course of those last few days, you want to try to firm up your plans, and then obviously was really happy when it worked out with Columbus. I think there's a lot of kind of good foundational pieces here as far as some of the players, and a lot of youth that's really looking to take the next step. So I think how I can fit in with that is exciting for me, and just excited to be a part of this group.
Speaking of that, I know it's just day one, but you're out there with Fantilli. Just what were your impressions?
Yeah, I mean, he's a special player. Obviously drafted really high for a reason, and I remember watching some of his games at Michigan there, and obviously he was dominant at that level, and had a really strong showing for an 18-year-old rookie in this league. It's a tough league to play in as someone that age, especially at the center ice position. So I think the first thing that sticks out to him is that he's got like that swagger, that confidence in himself, and you could tell this really means a lot to him as far as being the best player he can be, obviously for the team, but he has that pride for himself of really wanting to go out there and be a dominant player. So that drive that he has is certainly noticeable just in the way he carries himself.
Speaking of the youth, who really helped you along in your career throughout 16 years?
I don't know if that's a loaded question because of Jody Shelley being here, but but no, he's one of the guys. Again, I look back those kind of formative years in Philly, and I mean, there's probably handfuls of guys that I'd point to. I mean, guys like Danny Briere, Ian LaPerriere, Chris Pronger, Jeff Carter, Mike Richards. Claude Giroux, I guess we're both young guys, but we helped each other through it. And then again, Brian Boucher, Jody Shelley. I'm probably going to forget someone, but again, there's lots of great veterans that just, again, it's sometimes it's about having those kind of, when you get to know guys better, those kind of more direct talks about things, and it'd be me probably asking them a million questions and picking their brain, but most of it's just about, I think, again, when I was a young guy, at least I found this, just watching the guys that have been playing for a while and see how they go about their business, see how they approach their craft, things like that. So I think, again, that was very fortunate for that, because I think that really helped set me up to have an approach that you can have that longevity with.
Who are you next to? Who's your stall next to, and do you think it's on purpose?
Right now, yeah, I think it's still all coming together with that. So I think I'm next to Corrali right now, but I'm on the corner, so I'm the guy who, when the coaches come walking down the hallway, I get the first view of that. So I got to let the guys know when they're trying to sneak up on us. So yeah, that's an important job to have. Yeah.
So, Stadium Series ticket info went out today. You've played in 7 outdoor games, more than anybody else. Like, can you describe to people what's coming?
Yeah, it's just that excitement of that. Obviously, it's an outside-the-box sort of thing that goes on throughout the season. So I think it just kind of, again, can give you a little bit of that extra pep in your step and that energy of certainly sometimes it can be the dog days of the season when it's, again, towards the back half, and maybe you're mentally and physically feeling a little bit of the effects of the season, but I think that can energize you a bit, so then kind of springboard you to down the stretch. So again, I think they're certainly more memorable when you win the games, but there's a lot of, it's a lot of people that will come that have supported you probably throughout your whole career that are going to come enjoy that experience with you. So it's definitely a great experience to take in, but they're certainly way more memorable if you can win the game. So.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that a younger player faces in today's game, and then how can you help them knowing that there's a lot of younger players here in Columbus?
Yeah, I think, again, just that consistency night in, night out. I mean, especially as you're coming in, I think nowadays guys are coming in even younger than it was when I started. So I think just having that approach that you can have that kind of sustained sort of success, because, again, everyone can put together a few good games. It's about having that kind of approach that allows you to be at your best every single night. And obviously there's some kind of physical sort of attributes for that. There's some mental attributes, maybe emotional attributes in those sorts of things. So it's about, again, it's whatever the last day was, good, bad, or ugly. You have to have that kind of consistent approach the next day to set yourself up for the next day at hand, whether that's having a good recovery day, whether that's a practice day, whether that's another game. It's again, taking from which the day before what happened, learning from it, moving on, and again, it's just always about the next day.
Have you, over the course of your career, had to change your game much at all?
Yeah, that's a big part of anyone's game. I think you have to always evolve as a player and try to find new ways to be more effective and successful. Just, again, certain situations, I think, obviously fit-wise, maybe maximize your skill set. Other times, maybe you have to do things that are a little bit different than maybe that you're used to doing. And I think, again, even looking at my year last year in Boston, obviously would have liked to maybe contribute more goal-wise, but I think just playmaking-wise that I was able to that's something I've worked on a lot over the last few years. So I think that's something that I was really able to jump out in my game and was able to have some success doing that. So I think, again, having that versatility as a player is important. Everyone's obviously always going to have their strengths, and you want to play to your strengths as a player. Don't get me wrong; that's what gets you here, and that's kind of what your calling card usually is. But I think the more you can kind of add elements and tools to your game, it becomes you become less predictable and more valuable to a team.
Well, like on the ice, where do you think you can help most with this bunch? It's a different team than Boston, right? Like
Yeah,
Boston's
no, definitely. I think. Again, just playing the right way, and I know it's a stupid cliche a lot of the times, but I think, again, it's about making the right plays at the right time on the ice, taking into account the score, the time of the game, things like that. So I think that comes with a little bit of maturity. Sometimes it's about trying to make a good play. Other times it's about living to fight another day, and I think that's something I've definitely learned as your career goes on, especially over the course of a long season. I think depending on a lot of those factors, like you want to give yourself a chance to win games by managing the game the right way. So I think that's definitely something that I consider a strong part of my game, and I think that's something that you learn as you go, and I think that's what a lot of winning teams have. And I think, again, it just helps you able to maybe win games, or maybe things are not going your way as a team or as a player. It helps you kind of figure out the path to success that night versus overly relying on trying to make the sexy play every time.
We all know this team is clearly hurting from what happened, and you come in here. How tough is that? Is that tough to make that adjustment, to come into a room full of guys that obviously are going through a tough time right now?
Yeah, you know what? It's a brotherhood of us as players. I mean, obviously more so when you're on a team with certain guys, but even so, like, we all play in the same league, and the way it is now, it's like a lot of us are only a few degrees of separation from each other, so we know a lot of different guys. Even walking into the room here, like, there's a lot of guys I either know through playing with in other teams or just through different buddies. But again, certainly it's a tragic thing that happened, and it's something that, again, it's going to take some time, and there's going to be some good, better days. Obviously, maybe not good days, but better days than others as far as like going through the process of grieving and things like that. And there might be some days where it really hits you like a ton of bricks, and it's still, again, to be honest, doesn't feel quite real. Just what happened is hard to wrap your head around. It's just completely tragic. And Johnny was someone I got a chance to play with at some USA hockey stuff. He was a few years younger than me, but I'll vividly remember at the World Championships, him and his brother kind of running amok in the city there, having a great time. And again, me being him with someone who has 2 younger brothers, it definitely kind of you have a soft spot in your heart for those sorts of relationships. So for just all the details of it that happened, obviously, you really feel for that. So yeah, definitely something that is just no other way to put it than devastating.
And NHL camps start with, at least some of them.
Well, honestly, Don was when we first chatted about camp and about numbers and stuff. He likes smaller numbers as well. There was no particular reason why this camp. It's just what him and I are both familiar with. I find it a lot easier, obviously, to teach. It's a lot easier for us, myself in particular, to get to know the guys as opposed to getting to know, because you want to have a touch on every guy, and if you do that with 70-some guys, it's a little easier with 50-some, right? And we want to get to our group. We've got a lot of teaching to do. Clearly, we've got a lot of practices a lot of exhibition games. So we'll be able to teach through video, but you want to get on the ice with them and you want to teach, and so that's why we've kept the numbers down.
Is that something that maybe just over experience through the years? Maybe you've been in camps that are bigger in the past, and you've like, this is just not working type of thing, or it takes longer to.
Yeah, and also if the level of skill set is different, right? It's a little bit more. It's difficult to, to kind of dial in what you want to do and have that competitive, or that competition within a drill. When the level's a lot different. Just obviously it's the first day, but watching both sessions, we've got a lot of guys that are, I don't see a lot of drop off from our guys to, the guys that are here. So I think our scouts and their management have done a fantastic job of putting together guys that have a chance to play in the National Hockey League in the near future.
How do you balance teaching and evaluating at this stage?
Well, there's not a lot of evaluating, I guess. It's more trying to, at least for us as coaches, we're trying to find some combinations, right? We're going to flip a few lines tomorrow, a little bit, and we'll get in and we'll have a meeting now and talk about how we want to, do things tomorrow. But you want to get the basis of your structure. So you're teaching that. There's not a lot of individual teaching right now. It's more just get our structure, and then we can, once we get into the hockey games, then we'll start teaching some habits out of some guys, or teach some habits in them.
A very generic question, just how was the energy today? How was the emotion today?
Fantastic. We addressed yesterday. It's the first time that I've had an opportunity to speak to the whole group, and Don obviously, and we talked about Johnny, that we want to continue to talk about him. We're encouraging the guys to
tell the stories and what have you. And so, yeah, we just want it to be open. We want it to be as open as possible. We want them to, just feel free to express themselves in any way that they want to on that side of it. And then they get on the ice and they're practicing. They're in a competitive drill sets now, and the juices start flowing. And I think the guys are, obviously they're comfortable on the ice and excited to start and get after it.
It looks like you feel you've got the center depth now that allows Jenner to play on the wing. Are you set in that? You mentioned moving up lines. Is he going to play left wing, or is that still up in the air?
Who, Boone in particular?
Yeah.
I think Boone could play anywhere, right?
Sure.
You guys know that as much as I do. So, and/or he doesn't care where he plays, right? It's just like he wants to help the hockey club, and right now that's we like the look of their line. Obviously, this morning there's a lot of guys I'm kind of all of them I'm seeing for the first time up front and close, and to watch to be actually on the ice with them and watch their speed and their skill set. It's exciting, but yeah, Boone's definitely going to start, on that left side with Monahan and Marchenko as it sits right now.
You mentioned this your first time on the ice with some of these guys. Did anyone in particular catch your eye? Anyone that surprised you with any element of their game?
Likely too many to name, right? Because we got in after the first session and we didn't have a meeting. It was just more, one coach said, I really was impressed with this guy and that guy. So there was several guys that I liked our size and I liked our speed. And, it's easy to say that because, we're not playing against anybody. Like, they're all going 100 miles an hour at this point. So, but I did like our size. It's also easy because they're all bigger than me.
David Yurchek is somebody that's we watch at this camp. That second pair on the right side seemed like he may get the first opportunity there. How hard is it for somebody like him in the position he's in, being so young, to be able to really fit into that kind of a role?
Shouldn't be hard at all. It's just hockey. It's just we haven't defined anything yet. I talked to the group late yesterday about we'll define roles when we get to that point. And then they have an opportunity to change those roles, after we define them. If they want to play in different positions or more, then they'll earn that right to do it. But as far as David's concerned, he has as good an opportunity to make our hockey club as anybody.
How will your approach to playing veterans in the exhibition games differ than in the past when you were at Minnesota and you knew what you had?
Not a lot different, honestly. We've got 8 games. It's a lot of hockey games. We've already gone through the process of putting 8 veterans. That's the challenge, is to try to get 8 veterans in every game. We've got some back-to-backs, so yeah. So we've gone through that process. It'll change, obviously, but honestly, some of the older veteran guys, they want to play more games, and some don't want to play more. And so the one thing that we do know is that with the 8 games, at the end of camp, inevitably you have someone that says, I didn't get a fair chance. Everyone's going to get a chance to prove that they can stay here in Columbus, or that they're close to being here in the near future.
The NHL announced Stadium Series ticket info today. I'm wondering what you remember most from the Winter Classic in Minnesota. Like, what really stuck out?
Freaking freezing.
I knew you were going to say that.
It was so cold.
Still had a full house.
You know what? I said it was the most wonderful, miserable experience I've ever been involved with. It's wonderful. And I was actually in Washington as assistant coach. We played in Pittsburgh. It rained in our game. So I've had the opportunity to be involved in 2 now. They're amazing. They're really amazing. And the build-up and the families all together. And, we've won one and we lost one a couple of years ago in Mini. But the excitement that it generates in your community, the excitement that it generates around the world simply, and the ability to play outdoors. These guys likely have never played outdoor, but for me personally, the grow up and like my youth was, we were lucky to play indoor, right? So it takes you back for sure, and it's a very exciting time. Looking forward to getting over there. I want to get over there to see a football game, but I'm excited about us all getting over there and seeing what we're going to experience.
You grew up in Flin Flon, right? And you
I
were
did.
born there?
I was born in Flin Flon, and then I moved, I think it's like 5 hours north of Flin Flon, which you think is possible, but it's a place called Thompson, Manitoba.
Okay.
And I lived there for the better part of 8-9 years. And then Winnipeg, and then Brandon is where my mom is at now, but definitely Manitoba.
So where was your outdoor hockey? Was it a pond?
No, it was
outdoor rink?
on a rink, yeah, but the league games were on, like, when we went inside, it was for tournaments or for big games. Everything else was outdoor, and it was just on an outdoor rink. I'm not that old that I played on a bloody pond.
I played on a pond.
Well, I love playing on a pond. I've played on ponds, but not a league shinny, yeah.
Well, odds are it won't be as cold as Minnesota here. I say that now. Watch.
Thank you very much. There's no chance it's as cold as Phil. You can say that. There's no way it's as close as Minnie was. I'm sure. I think you guys can correct me, but I'm positive it's the coldest game in history.
I would guess.
-6 at face-off.
It was amazingly cold, but still wonderful experience.
Is the idea of playing in front of 100,000 plus, is that daunting, exciting, hard to even really grasp if you've not been in that setting?
I think at the start you'll look around, but then after that the puck's dropped, your focus is on the ice, and it's it's the same as playing in front of 20,000 people, right? It's hockey end of the day, and that's something that we obviously will be stressing to our group, is that this is wonderful, but there's a game to be won, and that'll be our focus on that night.